Hello, everybody. Great to see that people are still interested in watches after such an intense week. And now it is one of my favorite subjects, both as a human being and as a designer. A lot of what I write for publications, including the New York Times, for whom I freelance, is very often design related. And here with two fantastic designers, Nicolas Ducoudert from Beaubleu, Paris, who's been around since 2017, and Hakim Kadiri, designer and founder of ELKA watches. And the first watch came which month in 2022?
It came in June 22 with a Kickstarter, right?
Yes, and has grown a lot since then with a lot of different collaborations and so on, which we will talk about. And before we start, one thing with design is that it's a very important tool to stand out in a market where you have a lot of brands, and it seems like there's a new brand starting every week. Are there too many brands on the market today, Hakim?
I think there are a lot of micro brands today, but I mean there is an evolution. It's always we had a period of time where we had a lot of watches, and then after that recess, and then after that. So today we have a bit more brands coming to the market. But you can remember also in '83 when Swatch was launched. So there were a lot of fashion brands which disappeared at the end.
And Nicolas, how do you feel about what some people would say a saturated market?
I don't think there's like a saturated market. I mean, it's very confusing because those last years, there's so many different brands coming up, and with new processes, new system through Kickstarter, for example. But also, maybe there's a lot of people frustrated about like maybe the classical design. So, I mean, people have a voice and to tell something a little bit different. So maybe challenging, what we actually understand about watchmaking and stuff. So it looks a little bit saturated because, as you say, I'm pretty sure it's one brand every week. It's been the last, 10 years. But at the end, I mean, they come up with new ideas, challenging maybe the big brands out there. And so at the end, I think it's for a good idea, for a good purpose, because it shows so that it's a very dynamic industry, no matter how classical sometimes it could be. So.
And if you could please put the Beaubleu watches in the showcase. If you just very quickly, in 1 or 2 minutes, would describe what your brand is all about.
So the brand is all about time, actually. That's actually our first raw material. I mean, we question more the idea of like what is time and not necessarily what is watchmaking. I mean, our watches is pretty much the conclusion of maybe a philosophical question or reflection, and because actually we see time a little bit differently. I mean, we're French, so we see.
Different in what way?
I mean, it could look like a little bit more approximative, but actually what's matter for us is more about the moment. I mean, like the time is not necessarily 1 minute, 60 seconds. Of course it is, but the way we live it is a little bit different. And we manage that in precision actually pretty well every day. So we're like to be, okay, let's do something more adequate to the person who's going to wear it and having another type of time. And that's why we see time differently. We show it differently. So the hands is different. And that's why you have like those circle hands it's a little bit more meditative watch, than just a simple tool can give you time.
And you, after being head of design for a Swatch Group brand, with this wonderful manifestation of your dream, how would you describe the design of ELKA watches and the mission?
So in fact, the base of the company or the design I have is really based in the 60s, where the brand was launched in 1877 and died due to the quartz. And so I wanted to really take the roots from the company. I took the design that were launched in the past by the old ELKA brand, but I wanted also to restart the brand when the brand died. So the design reminds everyone the pieces designed in the 70s. So you can see the shape of the glass, you can see the shape of the dial, and I'm looking for something which is minimal. So a watch today is showing not really time, but is showing who you are, and it has to express yourself. So I think this is what I'm looking for. So having something sober, pure, and minimalistic, and something that is going to pass over the age. You can wear an ELKA watch today. You could have worn it maybe 50 years ago, and I hope you can wear it also in 50 years.
Yeah, and right now we were just seeing the two very different models, which in fact are very similar when you look at it from the side. Could you talk about that design process?
Yes, in fact, this design is about your next question, I guess. So this one is really the minimal piece. And so we have developed a collection of 4 watches. It's a collaboration with Alon Ben Joseph in Amsterdam. And the idea was to talk about diversity, because Amsterdam is a city of diversity, so there are a lot of people from any part of the world, and so we have decided to create 4 watches, one talking about Hebrew, one in Arabic script, one in Chinese script, because there are all different ethnies in Amsterdam. So we wanted really to talk about the diversity. But we were also talking about, these 4 pieces, and at the end, so we have added also the one on the other side, the pure one, the Miftah. The pure one, so the one without any script, and that was also to talk about the diversity, but something which is international. Everyone can understand, even if there is nothing written on the dial. So we have the purity of the design, but you can still read time.
Yeah, and I think those two together could really also symbolize a favorite theme of you, Nicolas, with light and emptiness. As a designer, why do you find that such an interesting facet, and how do you work at it concretely with your watches?
Yeah. So if I don't want to lost the audience, I'm gonna be quick and simple. So yeah, about the light, actually, I consider light as the best ally when you design a watch. Meaning that it's pretty much the same with every product, but watches is something that you wear. So you could actually enjoy your watch at different places. I mean, you don't have the same light during the summer or when you're inside with your friends. I mean, when there's like a different situation. And light actually, so when you manufacture your watch, it's done. Nothing can change. And not to be bored at your watch or stuff like that. That watch should tell you something a little bit more at on every situation, depending on the light, on the intensity, the direction of the light, and that's why actually light is the best ally for your design, and in a way you control the light depending on depending on the treatment of the surface, and if it's brush, if it's polish, if it's grain, if it's an enamel, a lacquer or whatever, and the light's going to express itself a little bit different depending where you are, and emptiness. Yeah, the thing is, you always work as like an architect. When you build a city, it's not about the building itself. It's more about like the streets, the avenue, how narrow they are, if it's square, if it's a grill or something more like a snake, like in Paris and stuff like that, and change actually everything on how you actually interpret the object or the city, and using negative space and do the perfect of doing a conjugation, bring you to a story or another, and that's why like having sometimes a little bit of emptiness is going to also allow the person to look at the watch or the city to interpret something like a story, or the designer or the craftsman like choose to do it that way, and then you try to find new details along the way.
And I think those things really apply for your watches as well, Hakim. And one thing that you were able to do from day one, which I found very impressive, is the recognizability. Even though it's a simple round watch, there is an instant recognizability, which is, I guess, the dream for every designer. How did you achieve that?
I think it's important to recognize the product. So I have a good, a story to tell. So 1 month ago, there were a TV show, and they were talking about diamonds. And there is jewelry here in Geneva who is selling also my product, but he is jewelers. And then, so they were talking about diamonds, and after that, so the camera of the TV show was turning around and showing also my watches. And it's amazing because there were no poster, nothing, and I had 4 or 5 people just calling me or sending me messages saying, okay, we saw your watch. And this is the most important thing.
And that was on a distant shot?
That was on distant shot, and that was at the TV without the logo written. And people recognizes the brand. And this is what I was looking for, and I guess most of the people are looking for that, developing a product. From far away, you can recognize. It's simple, it's a simple design, but I guess also the Chevet box sapphire crystal is giving also this identity. It's like if I'm looking at the Beaubleu, I can recognize immediately the design because of the hand. That is really an important point. You need to have a value on your watch, on your product, that is recognizable.
And apart from the crystal box, what would you say make your product recognizable?
Yes, maybe we can see on the screen. So here, it's the first, it's a premiere because that was never shown because I will launch this product, the one on the right side, in 1 month, okay? So this product here, if you compare also to the other one, we have the Chevet box sapphire crystal, we have the minimalism of the product, we have also the same type of coloration, but also if we compare the two watches, so we can recognize the lugs. Probably we are going also to have the same straps, so on the two pieces we have the same strap. So the idea is to have all the point that even if you do a new product, you need to have a recognizable identity. And that is really the DNA of the brand.
And for you, Nicolas, obviously the circular hands. What else makes Beaubleu Paris stand out?
But outside actually of the circular hands, I realized also that like 2 things. Most of the time when you wear your watch, also you have like your sleeve on the actually covering the watch, so that was actually one of the point. And also in watch industry, everyone bragging about like when we do very detailed work, and it's like from the to like 0.001 millimeters, and like we could be so precise, and I'm like okay, but like we still do just a very circular case with like 4 legs on it. I mean, maybe we can express a little bit more than just the support of the dial and the hands. So I was like, so on the side of the case, I wanted to create like sort of a bridge, like who will be holding the rest of the case, like a jewelry, like a ring, who the setting of a ring, and having that very sculptural part, and who actually can tell a little bit something more, even when the sleeve is covering the watch, and because there is so many different parts, because obviously people are like, okay, I look at the dial most of the time, or the back when you're a watch nerd, and the side also is a place where you actually can express yourself outside of the logo, outside of just the material. I mean, like even in terms of shape, you could have like a identity, and you can even remove the crown and be like, okay, I think it's a Beaubleu, and the job is done.
Yeah, and you were also able to even hide the operation of a complication under the side.
And for
the GMT, you could show, please, Mifta.
So actually, the GMT. So there's actually 2 crowns that you don't see. It's done on purpose to actually be able to focus on the dial. there is so one crown, 3 o'clock, and another crown at 9 o'clock. And the idea was to, okay, I don't want to design a too aesthetic technical watch. I wanted to focus on the dial and be like, okay, so I'm gonna hide those features like the crowns, having something quite symmetric and more minimalist, and having that sort of a secret crown, at 9 o'clock, allows you to set a second time zone, and that's what we believe at Beaubleu is like you have the first look, like the first impression. So maybe you could be a little bit, I don't know, confused or surprised in a good way, and then along the journey, the journey, you can actually find that there is like few details and also few specificities that you can use during your experience.
Yeah, and if we take a step back to from the practical details to inspiration, 60s and also 70s is very strong for you, Hakim. Why do you think that that's so in vogue now in 24? We saw it in the last couple of years, but even more so this year, and perhaps moving a little bit from the 60s to the 70s is my impression this week.
I think today, so you have a lot of Apple Watches and connected watches, or you have a lot of connected watches. So if you want to have a tool like this, digital, so then today you can find a lot, but always with the same shape. So there is only one shape that. So if you don't want to buy this type of connected item, so then you are going to see in the past what the brands were doing in the past. And today there is a big trend of vintage watches on the every market, and also there are a lot of exhibition talking about old watches and exchange of these watches. I guess so. This is mostly the main base of this trend. For me, I launched the brand. When the brand was, when the brand finished, so that was the beginning of the quartz, and so I took the roots at that period. And this is the reason why I'm using also black and white pictures. I'm using also this kind of environment because, of course, also I was born in that period, and I love this. I love the design from that period. I love the building.
What do you love about it?
Oh, I love all the cars. I love all the watches. I love all the furnitures. I love everything, all architectures. So I think at that time, so people were crazy. They had no limit to build. Today we have a lot of rules to follow. We have everything to check that is going to work. We have the safety. We have everything. Of course, in the 60s, it was after the war, and everyone had ideas, crazy ideas. And today, I think, and I have the feeling, so everything is looking the same. So if you look at the car, or you look at the building, you look at everything is really cold. Yeah, and so if you go back to the past, so not that I want to go back to the past, but I think so they were free in designing, in developing, and creating things.
And when you look back, is there any historical period that is inspiring you, Nicolas, and why?
Yeah, I think it's not very original. Same answer. The 70s. I mean. When you look at the watches, like for example, Omega in the 70s, I mean, they did like crazy things. Like they were like, money doesn't matter, like we're gonna do things, we're gonna have fun, we're gonna do like sort of concept watches and yeah, I mean like sometimes they pull out some even watches for women and we're like, no, I don't think it's gonna work, but who cares? We are those type of brands who can pull out those kind of designs. So I think, they were a little bit, they were more adventurous, and it's not a question of being naive or anything. They were just like, and not even too cocky. They were like, okay, let's do a few things. I mean, there's so many things that we can do thanks to technology, the CNC or the stuff, and still also be very and very also focus on craftsmanship and so on. But like, yeah, I think it was a little bit more wild, more, yeah, fresh and just bubbly in a way. So yeah, definitely those years. Because if we take those kind of furnitures or watches back from the area, nowadays it will be considered like concept watches, like okay, talking piece, you know, just to put it on the poster in the middle of the city. But at that time it was no, actually a real claim. I mean, like, yeah, that's gonna be a design, and you're gonna be able to wear it. So yeah, no, definitely those years. But I think like maybe as with your first question, like all those new brands coming up, they took that duty, that charge to okay, let's do our own, and we're gonna do crazy watches, and in that way we have a repetition in different way.
Yeah, and both of you, or both of your brands with the instant recognizability, and I don't know you that well, but you are very creative and you speak about a lot of different inspirations. How is it to work so much at the end of the day on one case with some small variations? Would you like to do more things? Or will we see more things?
No, I don't want to do more. So I have, of course, many ideas. So we are, I think, creative both, and so we have plenty of ideas. But sometimes we have to concentrate our energy. We can't develop more and more because, I mean, of course, we are not part of a group. We have also to be more focused. We have also, in terms of communication, we have to be really precise, and in terms of product, we have to have only one type of product. If you try now to open the type of design, you try to be to have a variety of products, so you are not going to be consistent. You cannot also communicate on every field, on every details, on everything. So I think you have to be really focused on one point, and that is going to help you also to develop your brand, to brand awareness, and also to your image.
And for you, Nicolas?
The thing is, like, at the first place, we're only doing limited edition. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do sort of a proof of concept. So I did like a first design, and I was younger, and I was more focused on automotive design. So the shape of the lugs, for instance, were very sharp, very car design driven, and because actually that's what I did before that, and maybe I've been more wise. So every collection, the lugs actually change. I moved my inspiration from automotive to more furniture design, and so I changed 3-4 times actually for the last 4 collection. But as he said, like also as a young brand, you have also to be recognized by, like, you know, your pure DNA, I would say. So now we actually find our a part of our DNA, which is our permanent collection, and which is the sort of the Vitruve blue with the Roman numbers, and having that design allow us to actually build something a little bit more and to talk about more about emptiness, time, more about the universe, the brand, and that will be, and we are allowed to do that only because we come up with sort of a final design, and then after in the future we'll be more adventurous on different case sizing or shapes, mostly shapes, but I mean we're here to last. So I mean we're not in. I guess I don't think we're in the rush. So it's gonna take time, but I mean it's gonna be meaningful at the end. So that's actually what matters.
And what about the design future of ELKA?
So I think I will continue also the same way to keep really this kind of DNA, for the next few years. Of course, I like developing crazy things. So in the past, also in the 60s, that was a space age, and I love this also. So I don't know if you remember the Space Odyssey to 2001. Okay, so with the Stanley Kubrick, I mean the watch that was in the movie. So I love this. So it was really crazy period. So they, as I said before, they tried many things. Of course, I mean, sometimes that was only prototypes. Today, as you said, it's called talking piece. I love that. I would love to do this. I had at the beginning also the idea to launch a brand more based in that type of product, but then I changed my mind because I think it's more complicated to find the right audience for that.
And you have now shown strength that it's possible to survive in a market with many different brands through design. What advice would you give to the newcomers?
Okay, so it's not only about the design. So the design is important because that is the base. This is what you are going to bring to the market. But you have to bring the quality, you have to bring the detail. But this is really the base. This is maybe 10% of what you have to do. After that, you have really to continue to live in the continuity, but you have to communicate, you have to bring novelties, you have to be present in shows, in exhibition, you have to be on the website, you need to be really present. And there are a lot of micro-brands that you said at the beginning. That was your first question. But I guess most of the brands are just, starting, and they have a product and they think that it will be a hit. It's never like this. So you really need to try to be present a long time and to be constant on your development and on your message.
Yeah. Have you got anything to add, Nicolas?
As a tip, I mean, there's millions of tips after 7 years. I will still choose design as the best best tip. The thing is, like, when you start a company, you create your first watch. I mean, your first company. Sort of. Basically, you don't have money. You don't. Yeah, maybe you know a few people, but that's not gonna make your business just in general. I mean, so you don't have money. No one knows you. You're very motivated. But the thing is, like, having a design which could be recognized, and where you don't actually have to, take your violin and, play a piece for like 45 minutes to say, you should love my watch. The first exercise is like you put the watch on the table, and they're like, okay, I can recognize it, I like it, or I hate it, whatever, but I hate it because I recognize it. Like, there is, at least you have like a strong DNA, and it's gonna be way easier than after for communication, for even marketing, because like they could be, okay, like I don't remember the name of the brand, I don't even remember the logo, but actually I'll be able to describe it and say, okay, that's the if, for example, Reverso was known from Jaeger-LeCoultre, you'll be like, okay, it's a square watch, and you can actually turn the dial. That's it. Don't tell you about the hands, don't tell you about like the finishing parts or anything about polo or whatever tradition. Like, that's actually the concept. And it's actually very easy to understand. And now also with the internet and so on, you can just put that on Google, and in a way you'll find back the Reverso. So at the beginning, then after you can sell your universe, your branding and so on. But I think the most important is like, focus on the design. Make sure that if there's no logo, people can recognize you for the good or the bad. And it's going to be very helpful. You're going to save a ton of money. You're going to save quite a bit of time and a lot of effort.
Right. Would you guys like to add something? Then I wish you a great future ahead with fantastic designs and great collaboration. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Anders. Thank you.
Bye.